Are aliens real? That is the question today, and the topic. So, first of all, I've never seen an alien, and I've never seen an alien craft. I've never witnessed a UFO. But a lot of people have, and there's a lot of video material out there and a lot of eyewitness accounts of craft, particularly. What I have seen in my life, which makes me think that other people are actually seeing what they're saying they're seeing, is in 1997, we had the Hale-Bopp comet, which flew near Earth orbit, and you could see it for, I want to say it was for several weeks, very clearly with the human eye, and you could tell it was a comet. So that was a space object, but not confusable with anything from the Earth or as a craft. There was another time a couple of years ago that I was coming home from work and I happened to drop a friend off who lived near me in Tucker. And on my way back, I was driving down Brockett Road. Coolidge and Brockett, they merged together there. And I was right by the church, and I looked up through my car window, and over the car, I could see a big meteor burning up and crossing the gap over the street between the trees. And it only lasted for a couple of seconds because obviously I didn't have to pull over to watch it or anything like that. I saw it, but I very clearly could see all of the bright colors, and you could see like yellows and greens and blues, especially green at the end of the comet where the tail was burning off, and it was burning copper apparently, or some kind of metal from this object. Now, when I got home and to my porch, I got out of the car and I immediately went on Facebook and said, did anybody else see this huge comet or this meteor streak across the sky? And nobody had seen it except for my niece, who happened to be out with her boyfriend taking a walk on the opposite side of Atlanta. And she had seen it. She responded immediately. But I did a search the next day, and nobody on Facebook, anywhere in the Facebook search, had noticed this meteor. It hadn't been seen by anybody except for me and apparently my niece. So I had described it, what direction it was going. It was going more or less from east to west across the sky. And about 2 days later, a friend of mine found a report, a meteorological report from like an aerospace type observatory that documented that this meteor had actually streaked across the sky and that it had began to disintegrate over Chattanooga, which is north of us. So it was going, remember, an east to west pattern. And then it exploded over a small town in the mountains of Alabama, right near Chattanooga. So there's a debris field there. But really, actually, a lot of people didn't see it. There was like one video camera, and I want to say it was at a football field that, or it was somewhere in that town, that showed the flash where it exploded. But most people, it was about 11:30 or so at night. I had gotten off work roughly around 11 and dropped off this friend and then headed back to my house. So it took me about 35 minutes to get home. And I saw this. It was really crazy. So I've seen objects. I've seen things. I've eyewitnessed, animals and other things like that with my eyes. So I don't think it would be very easy to confuse something like a meteor or a space object in most cases with an actual UFO. What's interesting about it, there's a documentary out there. It's a very, very good documentary on this subject because it doesn't deal with alien abductions and all that sort of stuff. It just deals with actual sightings. And there was a mass sighting in Arizona that covered a good part of the state, and thousands and thousands and thousands of people saw this huge craft, which is the typical craft some people describe, which is the wing formation that's kind of flat that forms a V or a boomerang shape. And lots of people saw that. And then there was another one that was seen a couple of years later in Texas by the whole community. And of course, these things are huge. They're not like airplane size, and they don't seem to be of this world. Although it's possible that we could construct something like that, at this present time, we don't have the technology to power them the way that they're powered. So one could assume that they come from somewhere else. But if you watch that particular documentary I mentioned to you, you'll see all of these very credible sightings, witnesses, some video footage of a few of the objects, personal descriptions of people that are in the military and high up in, military and governmental type positions all over the world talking about this. And this video was done, I want to say it was 2008. So it's a good 10 years old, 11, something like that. But anyway, so there are a couple of assumptions about aliens that, if we were going to say, are aliens really here? Should we really be afraid? And my take on this is aliens are probably here because I do tend to believe that they do visit. But I would tend to say they're probably here more as tourists or going from point A to point B. You have to think about the logic. If you're traveling in space, maybe you would want to stop by and see this planet, but you may not breathe air in the same, our air may not support your breathing. You may not be able to just jump out and walk. Say if they were more of a carbon dioxide based breathing species, for instance, like a plant, which breathes carbon dioxide and puts out oxygen. You'd have to consider that other species from other planets may not have the same physical requirements that we do, and that they could be here just basically as a stopover to something else that they're doing. I mean, I think the largeness of some of these crafts, they seem like they would be carrying a lot of things or people with them. So it would only make sense that you would have to, at some point in time, refresh your water, liquids, minerals, whatever it is that it takes to sustain your life. Also, it would not be too far-fetched to think that some of these sightings are during repairs. Like, they may not be zipping in and out of our atmosphere and in and out of our world just out of curiosity. They might be traveling through space, and this is a good stable stop by for them to be able to do a repair. And I think in some of the cases where you talk about low hovering crafts, they're seen by thousands of people, just coasting over a city with no particular real reason for it. I mean, the only reason would be that they're having some engine trouble or something like that. There was some issue on the ship. They've had to take a little stop by. And the reason why I say that is because they certainly have been witnessed since